Hey there, Ramon Osa with you here, and welcome to this video training that I'm calling How to Make the Easy Forehand Every Single Time. And the premise of this video is everybody misses the hard forehand. You know, the ball where you're running out wide at 1,000,000 miles an hour, or the ball that gets slammed right at you. But if we just make the easy shots, you know, I think like 80% of points are over in 5 shots or less, or I saw some statistic like that. So if we can just make the easy shots, think of how many more points we're going to win. And if you're thinking, well, Ramon, am I going to learn anything about power in this video, or is this just going to be like about becoming a pusher? In this video, I'm actually going to give you a 10-step process that'll develop power, consistency, and accuracy on your forehand way faster than if you're just out batting the ball around. So without further ado, let's jump right into step 1. Now, if we're going to talk about how to make the easy shots, the first thing we got to do is establish a contact point. Because as one of my favorite coaches of all time, Vic Braden, used to say, it's all about contact. Now, you've heard just hit it out in front of you, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say hit it out in front is super vague and can be really hard to get a handle on. What we want to do is make contact at a very precise point, and this is the 45-degree angle. So we want to make contact with our dominant arm for your forehand on the 45-degree angle into the court. And this is something I learned years ago from a great coach named Jack Brody, who really broke down the strokes into mathematical and physical terms, which was way over my head. But after hours of calculation and study, I found that to be roughly here. Now, the good news is this is where you get the most bang for your buck from a power standpoint. And you can change the direction of your shot with a slight feathering of the wrist at contact, which, if you followed me for any amount of time, you've heard me talk about a ton. We also want to make sure that when possible, we've lined up our hips to the other 45-degree angle, kind of like this. But don't take my word for it. Try this and see for yourself, and you'll notice that your best contact is out here on the 45-degree angle. Okay? So we got the contact point. Step 2 is we're going to turn on the ball machine. But before we do, I should say our first goal is not necessarily to make the ball over the net, but just to see if we can kind of bunt the ball with our arm on the 45-degree angle at contact. So we're not really swinging, we're kind of like tapping the ball. Now, you'll notice that when you get this right, the ball is going to fly off your racket. You know, just squeeze the racket a little bit right at contact so the racket wins the collision. And that's all we're doing here. We've lined up our shot, see, by lining up our hips to the 45-degree angle as the ball comes in. We're moving to the ball, and we're just going to bunt the ball right here on the 45-degree angle. In general, extension away from your body with your hitting arm is going to give you more leverage and therefore more power. And that's why you see Nadal and Federer, two of the biggest forehands in the game, with a straight arm at contact. Now, you can still get pop with a bent arm, but more extension equals more leverage. But just find what's comfortable for you. I say just avoid the T-Rex arm at all costs. Okay, step 3 is now we're going to be a slightly longer bunt, almost like a half swing, you know, if you're playing baseball. So we're still starting from contact. We're still lined up on this 45-degree angle, and we're using this to kind of line up our shot. But as the ball gets closer, we might take the racket back just a little bit and have a little bit of follow through out towards the target, almost like you're pushing the ball. Don't get worried if you're thinking about you're pushing here. This is all building towards something. Again, the goal here isn't really to take a full swing or even necessarily make the ball in, although you'll find that as you do this, you'll end up making a lot of the balls if you hit it cleanly at the 45-degree angle. But it's just to get you comfortable, gradually lengthening your swing, but you're still mostly focused on making contact on that 45-degree angle, dialing in that spot and pushing your hand out towards the target. Okay, step 4 is we're going to change gears a little bit here, and we're going to start focusing on taking the ball on the rise. Now, the reason you want to do this is this will give you confidence to step into your forehand, and it'll actually end up in the long run letting you dictate more points because you're taking time away from your opponent while running around a lot less, which is awesome. So to do that, what we want to do is set up right near where the ball is going to bounce from the ball machine or hitting partner or wall or whoever you're using, and simply start by meeting the ball right on that 45-degree angle on the way up, almost like a bunt. And I want you to do this for a few minutes just so you get the feel of it. We're just getting comfortable letting the ball run into our racket at that 45-degree angle and just almost pushing it forward. Okay? Now, once you've got that, we'll take it a step further and start coming over the ball a little bit with a little bit of topspin. And we'll do that by keeping the racket face going vertically into contact. So you've heard low to high. We're just going to make sure that we're staying right around that 45-degree angle and just sliding up the back of that imaginary plane into contact. So we're kind of covering the ball with a little bit of spin. Now this spin is going to help us control the ball off our opponent's racket when he starts hitting those deep, heavy balls, and give us a way to hang in there and maybe eventually even attack these balls on the rise. This is a critical skill if you want to play close to the baseline, or if you want to be able to attack the short ball that's floating onto your side of the court. Okay, step 5 is now we're going to go back to the baseline and start from the slot position. And you can find that, it's kind of like you're petting a dog behind you here. You see that? And what we're going to do now is start to lengthen our swing a little bit more, still mostly focusing on making contact at that 45-degree angle and kind of just extending out to the target like this. Remember, this is all about contact. If we get the contact point right, you're going to be able to hit a million of these things in a row. Notice as I do this, my hips start the stroke and the arm is just kind of going along for the ride. What you want to do is make sure it's not the tail wagging the dog, so to speak. You don't want your arm going in front of your hips, or even really your arms going with your hips. You want to feel your hips pulling your racket through the hit. As you do this, keep your hitting elbow on your dominant side. So if you're a righty, you want to keep your right elbow on your right side. Okay? Now as the ball gets closer to that contact point, you want to start to rotate your hips and pull your arms slowly into the hit. Now I can hear you now, Ramon, it's all about racket head speed. We got to rip the ball. Top spin, gives us control. And all of this is true. However, if you want to develop consistency, you want to get great sense of where that contact point is so you can get there repeatedly. Then once you have it in your muscles and you have it in your body, now we can start talking about accelerating the racket. The problem is if you start swinging for the fences, I mean, sure, you'll get a few in, but you'll miss a ton. And I can safely say the majority of points, like I said earlier, at that 3.0 to 4.0 level, and maybe even into the 4.5 level, are won and lost on errors. Okay, so just don't make them. Learn slowly, then as you get more of a feel, we'll start talking about racket head speed, okay? All right. Now step 6 is we're going to start getting into the stroke. So let's start from the take-back position. Now there are a lot of variations on this. If you look at, say, Jack Sock or Kyrgios to Federer and Rafa, everyone is slightly different. So you just want to know what's important. And what's important is the hitting elbow is slightly elevated and you've got some space between your elbow and your body. So you're not pinched in here like, you forgot to put on deodorant or something. Now, as the ball gets closer, we're going to drop it into the slot and pull forward with our hips into contact. Again, here, we're thinking nice, slow, and easy at first, and really just getting a feel for the contact. And you'll notice that if your drop goes into the hit, if the racket head drops and goes right into the hit, and if the timing is right, you're going to get plenty of pace on the ball without trying to do a whole lot extra. So just drop into the hit and extend out into contact like this. All right, step 7 is now we're going to start from a neutral or a ready position. Okay, so it's just like we're in a rally now. Now, as the ball comes in, we'll start our take back, find that slot, and pull through into contact. And you're going to want to think about this in pieces at the beginning so you have a clearly defined take back, a clearly defined slot position, out to contact, and finish. even almost robotic. Okay, that's okay, because you want to be really solid in the key positions if you want to make all these easy shots and win a bunch more free points before you make it all silky and smooth like Federer. So go ahead here. Don't try to kill the ball. Just try and stay nice and smooth, nice and easy. Feel that contact and notice that when it comes off your racket the way you want it and what it feels like, just do a lot more of that. All right? Okay, great. Let's go on to step 8. We're doing great here. Now we're going to start smoothing out those edges a little bit. All right? And that really starts with the center of your body. So I want you to think of your hips as almost like a vacuum cleaner sucking in the ball and then spitting it back out. So what this is really doing is it's teaching you timing with the oncoming ball related to the center of your body. It's almost like you're pulling the ball in on a string. So you're bringing it in and sending it out. The key here is to try and be continuous with your hips whenever possible. This is going to ensure a smooth swing, effortless power, and great rhythm and timing. Now, as far as the timing goes, your hands are always going to be slightly behind your hips. That's where you hear that term lag. As your hips pull forward, your hand lags behind, and this creates a stretch, which turns into potential power. It turns into a powerful shot. See, I told you I was going to teach you how to get power. All right? I won't leave you hanging. Okay? Now notice, when you're on contact, all of these steps that we're adding always comes back to what's happening at contact. And if something doesn't feel right, rewind the tape or the video, go back to the previous step or two until it feels right. And as you get more comfortable with this connection between your hips and the ball, you can start thinking about rounding your swing path a little bit more, making it a little bit smoother so it's not as segmented, not as robotic, but it resembles more of a loop, more of a circle and more of a figure 8 eventually. Okay? All right, step 9, and this is really the last step in making all of the easy shots. And it's practicing hitting a few of the balls on the rise with all of the fundamentals that we've talked about so far. So what I want you to do is pay extra special attention to the timing with your hips into and out of the stroke and getting into the contact point at the right time in the right rhythm. If you spent some time on all of the previous steps, and you may spend 10, 15, 20 minutes, up to an hour on each step, really dialing it in, this is going to seem like a natural step forward, and it'll give you a great foundation for not only making the easy shots, but being able to handle more and more difficult balls, returning those balls, and even winning those points. All right, and I guess I said this is the last step. Let's do one more step, huh? Let's go to step 10, and that is to just grab a buddy and start rallying. Now, this is where you can really put your skills to the test. If you have a friend who's really steady, these are great guys to practice with any particular skill with, but especially this one. Although I truly believe that you'll find out exactly where you are when you can step on the court with anyone, including pushers, including the dinkers and the dunkers, the blasters, the serve and volleyers, and be able to handle everything they throw at you. Thanks so much for watching this training. I had a great time making it for you, as I enjoy making every video for you guys. And as you can see, there's really nothing to being able to develop a very consistent and eventually powerful forehand when you follow this fun 10-step process that I outlined for you in this video. I want to give a special thanks to Peter Freeman, who put on this amazing program, who's really just created this great training resource. So thank you, Peter. And if you're looking for a way to create an effortlessly powerful serve with one move, if you want a way to correct your tennis toss forever in 5 minutes or less, and if you're looking for a way to develop more and more spin on your kick and slice serve step by step, I've created a free training for you called the Serve Builder 2.0. And in the Serve Builder 2.0, you'll get these 3 videos absolutely free of charge. And you can have them for free just by clicking on the link, if there's a link down below, or you can go to osatennis360.com/serve serve training /serve training. So osatennis360.com/serve training. Thanks again for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.